For 2 consecutive days the house repairs continued without pause. The entire village knew that the household was reinforcing its walls. Part of the old wall had been torn down, then rebuilt thicker and higher with a mixture of clay-dried straw and crushed stones. The bamboo fence at the back was also extended, pushed all the way toward the foot of the mountain, exactly as Tamin had instructed. The village head passed by once, nodded in approval, and even offered a few words of praise. Yet she was still not satisfied. Not enough. Tamin said softly, looking at the newly plastered wall. Tan Truong Fong stood beside her, his hands still smeared with mud. Hearing this, he asked quietly, "What else worries my lady?" She did not answer immediately. Instead, she turned her gaze toward the distant mountains, where a barren strip of land cut through the forest like a scar. After a moment, she spoke slowly. "Today, I want to go to the old battlefield." Tan Truong Fong froze. The last time they had gone it was already dusk. He had only seen vague, elongated shadows and had not dared to look closely. But in broad daylight, that place was one even veteran hunters avoided. His voice dropped. "In daylight, everything will be visible." "I know." Tamin nodded. "That is precisely why we must go during the day. Not recklessness, but confirmation." The road no one wanted to remember. They set out early in the morning. The mist had not yet fully lifted, and the ground was still damp. The mountain path twisted onward. The deeper they went, the sparser the trees became. The soil gradually turned gray-brown and hard. The air grew colder, even though the sun had already risen high. Tan Truong Fong walked ahead, every step cautious. He knew this smell. The stench of rusted metal. The scent of earth soaked with dried blood, buried for years. "This is it," he said hoarsely, stopping. Before them the forest lay shattered. Broken trees lay scattered, the ground caved in unevenly. Large and small craters dotted the land, grass unable to grow, only sparse patches of dull gray weeds remaining. In daylight, the devastation was revealed with brutal clarity. Shattered, desolate, dead. White bones were mixed with dirt and stone, half buried. Broken armor plates, snapped spear shafts, chipped sword blades lay scattered everywhere. Tan Truong Fong clenched his fists. That day. He paused, then continued. Even the wind carried this smell. Tamin looked at him but did not urge him to speak. After that battle, this entire area was labeled cursed land. He gave a dry laugh. "It's not superstition. It's because too many people died here." He bent down and picked up a fragment of broken armor. His fingers trembled slightly. Some of them had just received their imperial reward, silver. They hadn't even sent it home before dying here. Tamin nodded faintly. That was precisely why. There would be silver. Awakening on the battlefield. She closed her eyes. With a subtle shift of intent, her mid-level wood-type ability spread out quietly, neither ostentatious nor oppressive. Unlike the cultivation spiritual energy of this world, her wood power felt like roots slowly threading through the soil. The system did not announce itself loudly. There was only a clear sensation. There is something beneath the ground. Tamin opened her eyes. "Over there." She pointed. Tan Truong Fong asked no questions and followed with his hoe. Clang! Metal rang out. Digging deeper, 2 jade pendants emerged, their ancient patterns chipped, but still faintly infused with spiritual energy. Then a jade ring appeared, bluish-gray, cold to the touch. Tan Truong Fong frowned. "These don't look like a common soldier's belongings. Personal items," Tamin said softly. "Likely from an officer." They continued digging. Silver. A lot of silver. Not large ingots, but broken silver pieces and small silver nuggets mixed inside rotted cloth pouches. Handful after handful. Nearly 100 tiles. Tan Truong Fong exhaled deeply. As expected. Reward silver. Tamin said. They never made it home. He remained silent for a long time, then spoke quietly. Later. We should buy some spirit money. Offer it to them. I was thinking the same. She nodded. Weapons and what should not be buried. Farther away, Tamin's eyes suddenly brightened. Inside a large pit, broken spears, halberds and shattered swords were piled together, as if someone had hastily gathered them. The metal was rusted, but the steel quality was excellent. Tan Truong Fong scanned them, his expression changing. These, if reforged, they can still be used. We won't take everything at once. Tamin calculated. 5 trips. He nodded. They selected a few swords in relatively good condition, along with the silver and jade, and carried them back first. Just as Tamin was about to leave, her gaze stopped. At the edge of a shallow pit, half buried, lay an old leather pouch. She bent down and opened it. Inside were a set of gold and silver needles, several carefully wrapped porcelain bottles, and a goatskin book. Tan Truong Fong understood immediately. A military physician. Tamin nodded. At a glance, she knew. This book was extremely valuable. Not something ordinary people could possess. She put it away at once. Let's go. Leaving death behind. On the way back, the sun was already high overhead. Tan Truong Fong turned back to look at the battlefield one last time. Only in daylight did he truly understand why no one dared to come here. Not because of ghosts, but because of memory. He spoke slowly. Thank you for coming with me. Tamin looked at him calmly. This is not only your past. It was the ground from which they would rise again. The second time they crossed the old battlefield, they were no longer criminal slaves fleeing with bowed heads. They were people reclaiming their fate. The mountain wind passed by. The smell of blood had faded. Near noon, the midday sun no longer carried the gentleness of early morning. Its harsh light illuminated the old battlefield behind them, laying bare the horrors of the past. White bones mixed with dry earth. Broken armor lay exposed among weeds taller than the knee. Craters scarred the land like wounds that had never been stitched shut. Some soil remained dark, as if blood had soaked into it for far too long. Tan Truong Fong slowed his steps. Only now in daylight did he truly see. No wonder, he murmured. No one dares come near. It was not lament, but belated understanding. Tamin nodded lightly. The yin energy hasn't dissipated. Ordinary people who approach easily fall ill or suffer endless nightmares. But battlefields always leave behind things others dare not take. She did not elaborate. Tan Truong Fong did not ask. He was already used to one thing: trusting her. They left the battlefield as the sun reached its peak, following the dirt road toward town. White steamed buns, a simple lunch. As soon as they entered town, the scent of freshly steamed dough hit them. The midday market was still lively. Vendors shouted, laughter echoed. Tamin stopped at a bun stall. 10 plain steamed buns. Tan Truong Fong was slightly surprised. That many. 6 to eat now. She took the bag. 4 to bring home. Just plain buns. Yet Tan Truong Fong felt his chest tighten. She always remembered everyone. They ate quickly in a corner of the market. The buns were soft and warm, simple, but enough to replenish their strength after a draining morning. After eating, he asked, "What's next?" The blacksmith. The smithy, the price of iron and hidden secrets. The largest smithy in town stood slightly eastward, with thick stone walls and heavy wooden doors. Before even stepping inside, Tamin sensed a trace of faint spiritual energy. Weak but real. Inside, coal burned fiercely. The smell of hot iron and oil filled the air. Weapons and farming tools lined the walls. When the 4 swords were placed on the stone table, the middle-aged blacksmith's expression turned serious. From the old battlefield. Tan Truong Fong nodded. The blacksmith tapped the blade lightly. Clang. A deep, solid sound. Good steel, he sighed. Rare these days. Tamin frowned slightly. But iron is so expensive. Especially weapons. The blacksmith looked at her honestly. Young lady may not know. Standard weapons are forged using imperial techniques mixed with precious metals, repeatedly refined. They're durable, not easily chipped or rusted. Ordinary iron can't compare. After calculating, he spoke plainly. To repair these 4 swords, 5 tiles of silver. And if you have a pile of old weapons to exchange as scrap, I can pay 15 tiles. Tan Truong Fong felt tempted. That battlefield held many broken weapons. But at that moment, a shrill cry came from the backyard. Oh no! Call a doctor. Mother's choking on an apricot pit. The woman's voice trembled in panic. The blacksmith's face changed instantly, and he rushed inside. A moment between life and death. Tamin did not hesitate. She followed immediately. Inside the room, an elderly woman dressed in dark purple lay on her back, face turning blue, hands pulling at her throat. Her eyes rolled back, breath broken. Don't shake her, Tamin commanded softly. Let me. She knelt down and used the choking rescue technique from her previous life. Precise movements. 2 firm compressions. 3 decisive thrusts. In one brief moment. HK. The apricot pit flew out. The old woman sucked in a deep breath, color slowly returning to her face. The room fell silent. Then crying erupted. She saved. She saved. The blacksmith collapsed to his knees, trembling. Benefactor. You saved my mother's life. A treasure given. After calming down, the old blacksmith wiped his tears, his gaze resolute. Young lady, I have nothing precious. But in this smithy, there is one thing. He led them to the main hall and pointed to a jet black bow hanging behind the ancestral altar. A family heirloom. I once swore never to sell it. But today, I give it to you. Tamin looked at the bow. At that moment, the system within her sea of consciousness stirred slightly. Treasure.